Keeps clips. Alrighty, BoobTubes, another one of Kip's clips. And I've remembered to unmute myself and everything. Beautiful. Surprise, surprise, surprise. Anyway, in the afternoon. One and all, hope you're all doing well. Oh my god, look at that. 10 years worth of hair underneath there, man. Bring on the barbers. Bring on the barbers. Anyway, in the afternoon, one and all. Thought I would do a wee Tommy Robinson, Paul Golden watch party and point out a few wee things along the way. Just a few wee things to try and counter their narrative, which is allowed, you know. Freedom of speech. Freedom, dum dum. So in the afternoon, one and all, thanks for joining. Who cares? Fruit Loop, Apple Charlotte. In the afternoon, Dr. Mengele. Oh yes, there's a Dr. Mengele in the house. Cha, who cares? Fruit Loop. Magic Magnets, how you doing? Magic Magnets in the afternoon. Quishy Griff, how you doing, my man? Who cares? How yous all doing, guys and girl? There's Odin as well in the afternoon. One and all, hopefully yous are all playing with traffic and licking doorknobs. It's David Icke. Highly recommends it. But anyway, I thought I would have a wee look at the Paul Golden interview and repeat my theory about what I believe their real relationship is. And I'll touch back on what I think their real relationship is numerous times. So I think to start off, I'll go straight into that. So I'm going to have a wee shifty at the bits and bobs. I'll use the one in Tommy Robinson's channel. Same difference, but it's like usual. It's popping up again. It's popping up all over the Tommy Robinson army, Tommy Robinson cult on the YouTubes. Now, Tommy Robinson. Here's a picture of Tommy Robinson. I'm not exactly sure what year that picture was taken, but he was in the Tommy Robinson was in the BNP from the years 2004-2005. When apparently he left. Paul Golden. Hold on, let me find my mouse loose about this house. Paul Golden, man, pictured here. This is the Belfast Telegraph, back from 2012. Late 2012, as you can see, in and around the time of the Belfast town hall flag protests. Right, and again, go and do your due diligence about what these protests were about and stuff. Closing the headline. So former BNP man and Nick Griffin, ex-crony Paul Golden flies to Belfast for a loyalist flag protest, talking about Paul Golden. Paul Golden was a close ally with Nick Griffin before he left. The BNP last year to set up his own party, Britain First. So straight out of BNP into Britain First. And interestingly enough, what you'll find is just details on your screen if you want to go and hold on a second. There's Jim and as par for the course, what you'll find is one of his party's Belfast representatives, former BNP fundraiser Jim Dowson from Glasgow, was one of the main speakers during the protest at the City Hall. Mr. Golden added, so here you have Paul Golden, BNP, Tommy Robinson, BNP, Jim Dowson, BNP, Here's Nick Griffin. Here's Paul Golden. National Front. This was when he was in National Front with pants on his head. That's him with the pants on his head. I'm sure he loves that one. You always need a pair of women's pants on your nut when you're paying respect for your poppy, you know. That was back in 2002, 2000, I believe. No. Was there a date on that? There's a date on the article, I'm sure. 2015, the article, but that pictures from his time back in the National Front. Here's Paul Golden back in his very early BMP days. This is a way back when BBC article. And this was in August. This was him talking about 20 years ago, right? Or August 2000. Attending the A Blanc at the Rogue Festival in France, held by right-wing Front National, their version of the National Front. You know, you got to love these nationalists flying to foreign countries. Golden has been pictured with the Front National leader Jean-Marie Le Pen. Now, is that Marie Le Pen's dad? I think it might be. Or is it just straight up her? Back in 2000, I'd imagine it was her dad, because she took over where her dad left off. But again, Paul Golden and the BMP from 2000 to 2011 coincides with the time that Tommy Robinson was in the BMP from 2004-2005. Jim Dawson, he was in the BMP from earlier than 2007, but nobody's exactly sure. He says he wasn't in the BMP, he just raised them £4 million and now hangs about with all their leading members. And Jim Dawson disassociated himself with the BMP in 2010, in and around the time Paul Golden, just before Paul Golden left to set up Britain First with Jim Dawson. Now, Nick Griffin was the BMP leader. Jim Dawson, well no, Jim Dawson, there's Tommy Robinson there on the left. Also, I would like you to know, like, see that wee BMP meeting that Tommy Robinson was there? That was in and around 2004-2005. That was back in his football hooligan days. He was there as like sort of a young muscle, you know. That's why he's flanking the main people sitting at the desk. So, is it so far-fetched that Tommy Robinson didn't actually leave the BMP? But, like a lot of these people, were one of the early persons to, on the surface, leave, but keep ties and set up splinter groups to appeal to different demographics. The BMP appealed to a particular demographic. They wanted to appeal to more people. Why? Because they had to get more votes to gain power in a political, from a political point of view. That was where that picture was from. Jim Dawson. Nick Griffin. As you would see, he was there from 1999 to 2014. So all these people were in the British National Party at the same time. And now Jim Dawson turns up with Nick Griffin. Paul Golden's turning up with Tommy Robinson. And Paul Golden helped Jim Dawson out back in 2012 with the flag protests. Jim Dawson helped Paul Golden set up Britain First. Britain First back in the day, and a lot of the people that used to operate with Tommy Robinson's entourage used to hang around with the people from Britain First. My argument is that although it appears that one group appeals to gays, lesbians and Jews, and one group appeals to straight up Christian Nazis, they've both they've both sucked in a large demographic over to the right wing of politics. And let's put another wee piece in the puzzle here. If we can get this.
Fundraising call centre in the Life movement in the States, then set up the BNP's fundraising call centre in Belfast.
You've got to remember, most political parties don't know their arse to their elbow. You bring in a professional marketing team. You know, I trained in America with the pro-lifers and all that. If you apply professional marketing techniques and fundraising to a political situation, it's a gift.
Yeah.
It's a gift.
Yeah.
And that's what we did with the BNP. Raised them £4 million, and then left them to it. So I was never in the BNP, but we did do work for them, just to make them successful enough to push everybody over to the right. And I think...
Now, imagine Jim Dawson's done this with other groups, like Britain First. He's done it with the BNP, so imagine he's done it with Britain First. Imagine he's doing it with Tommy Robinson, and imagine he's doing it with other groups. And he sets up these groups to appeal to different demographics of people who in no other normal straight walk of life would gravitate towards fundamental Christian politics, because if they ever got in charge, they would be the first against the wall and shot. And this is my theory, and I think if you actually see the words out of Jim Dawson, he doesn't deny that he does this. He done it with the BNP. So my argument is he's doing it with Tommy Robinson. Tommy Robinson's just set up a wee splinter group from the BNP to appeal to push even the gays, lesbians, and what's the other one? Jew lovers. Or not Jew haters, I don't know, whatever. Over to the right wing of politics, where he's at. To get them into power. And I don't think it's I think it's naive to think that people who are in politics like him don't do this sort of a thing. Do you want to know why? Because it's been known since time immemorial. Ancient Greece, Rome. There's good accounts of how their politics worked, and it worked the exact same way that I'm saying right now. If it wasn't the political caricatures on the walls of Rome, which were the political cartoons of the day that were used to steer the vox populi and all that jazz. So there's my wee background and the web I see behind a lot of this. I don't know what you call it, Tommy Robinson pish. Civil liberties, fight for our civil liberties, freedom. I don't mean anyway. It's populist rhetoric. They don't mean what they say. In fact, let's just before we go to that, why not? John Tyndall's speech. Let me play this as well. This is off another former BNP member, and in fact, Joe Owens. Let's see if I can find out quick. Joe Owens, BNP. Let's see if we can find out when he was in the BNP. Can he do it quickly? Anyway, I was just wondering if Joe Owens would have been actually a known member of the BNP at the same time that all these four other characters I'm talking about, Tommy Robinson, Paul Golden, Jim Dawson and Nick Griffin. And let's not forget that Nick Griffin and Jim Dawson collaborate within the Knights Templar International. My argument is Paul Golden and Tommy Robinson are secret knights. Like Andris Brevik, who when he was caught was claiming that he was a Knights Templar. And there's lots of things to indicate he was speaking to people within the EDL. Things to think about, people. So let's listen to John Tyndall's speech.
Hello.
We
yes.
are the Billy Boys. But
Our activity must be geared to the winning of power. That still has to be said to some people in our movement, here in America, back in Britain and everywhere else. They are crusaders for the truth, but they don't relate it to the necessities of winning power. It cannot be said enough. Power is what must be won. First, just a little bit of power, then more power, and finally complete power. Activity geared to anything else is a waste of time.
right, let's say Jim Dawson and John Tyndall there are coming from the same, singing from the same hymn sheet, the same political ideology, and this is where they're coming from, where they'll use sophisticated marketing techniques applied to political situations to mobilise fucking people using the internet, and all their activities geared towards winning power. Well then, even if you hated the Jews, you would create fucking some talking head that appealed to the Jews. Even if you hated gays, lesbians and the rest of the alphabet, you would create talking heads that would appeal to that demographic, just to get everybody over to the right a little, to allow UKIP and other right-wing political parties to gain from that political swinging of the pendulum. Anyway, that's me. Made my point with that bullcrap. Let's go and have a listen to Tommy and Paul. When Tommy met Paul, chugging along on the old ragdoll.
I'm about to meet with Paul Golding, and the reason I am is because he's in court tomorrow. He's in court on a terrorism charge.
He was in the BMP.
He faces prison. He could be locked up and forever labelled a terrorist for something as simple as...
Was the first time you met Paul Golding in the BMP, Tommy? I would suggest yes, because he was a member at the same time as you.
Refusing to give the police his passcodes for his computers and his phones. And I believe this is a very important case for patriots across the country. So I'm going to cover it, sit down with Paul, discuss with him further about what's happening.
Start off, how are you feeling about tomorrow?
I'm feeling great. I mean,
yeah?
At the end of the day, I'm feeling great. I'm not nervous or anxious. This is just one of those things. I've been to prison twice before. You've been to prison many times. And we've just got to put up with this kind of stuff for our children, for the cause. Because we're in it for the right reasons. And they're trying to knock us out of the game. They're trying to grind us down. They're trying to get us to surrender. And it's not going to happen.
Generally not worried?
No, not worried at all, no. Last time I went to prison, within 3 days I was attacked by a bearded Islamist gang. They burst in my cell, launched a sneak attack on me, and I sustained injuries.
I remember seeing it in the paper, I read it in the paper.
Yeah, it was all over the papers. I didn't have my nose broke, like the papers said, but I did sustain injuries. I walked out of my cell covered in blood because they punched me on the nose, and I was covered in blood. And I walked out, and the Kent police said, no further action. So when I know that going to prison, I'm going to be fair game and I'm going to get targeted, and it will be a badge of honour for a lot of these Islamist prison gangs to be able to inflict harm on me. It'll be a real honour for them. They'll be heroes.
That's why I say are you not concerned? Generally, because I know. The morning I was going to jail, I was shitting myself. I generally was shitting myself, and I generally was because of my kids, and because I think what you must know. You could walk in there and not walk out.
Absolutely.
It's 100%. Yeah. 100%.
I've told my security and the people who are coming with me to court tomorrow, once I go in that courtroom, I might not be coming out because there's a possibility you might not see me again.
No,
that is the nature of the struggle that we have taken up, and that's why the police do it. That's why the state establishment put you in those positions. You've been attacked in prison before by an Islamist gang.
When you get to jail, do they ask you if you want protection?
No.
They don't ask her?
The first time I was put in prison was in Pentonville, but that was only for 4 weeks. Yeah. And as soon as I got there, and I was quite worried because I knew Pentonville's reputation. I thought, this is going to be bad. I'm going to be put in a cell with someone, black gang member or Islamist gang member. I'm going to be put onto. They're just going to chuck me in the middle of it. Yeah.
Anybody that isn't white.
They're going to chuck me right in the middle of it, and I'm
right in the middle of anybody that isn't white.
I'm going to be I'm going to be fighting every day. And they didn't. They put me on a detox wing, which was very quiet. But the downside to that was they put me in basically solitary confinement. So I was in my cell, literally 24 hours a day.
Not literally. They've probably been 23 because that's the minimum legal requirement, which happens to numerous prisoners up and down this country in numerous jails.
See, the problem I've had, each time I go jail, they say you need to go on the numbers, yeah? Which I've never done, which is why, whatever's gone over the years, I've watched each time we've gone jail and thought I respect the fact, because an easy way out would be to accept protection.
Yeah.
If you accept protection...
An easy way out, no. If you were genuinely concerned for your life, you go, yes, police, I'll accept putting on the protection ward. But somehow, some way, they think that this will make them a paedophile.
So people understand, you go where paedophiles go.
Yeah, on the VP.
Paedophiles and people with potato faces that are a risk.
On the VP, you're a vulnerable prisoner.
Yeah.
Okay. So when I get there, I think I'd rather be beaten up every day or hurt, which obviously you've done this yourself.
Well, when I went to Elmley Prison, which is in North Kent, in 2018, they just flung me out into the general prison population. But where it was in Kent, I thought I might be okay. But when I actually went onto the wing and I saw the
population,
the ethnic composition of the people who are in there, I was thinking this probably going to be a struggle.
Oh, brown and black people.
Within 3 days, I was attacked by a Muslim gang in my cell, and the police they gave the gang no further action, even though I sustained injuries, even though it's caught on CCTV, just no further action. And then once that happened, they tried to put me onto a different spur, a different wing of that block. And as soon as I was in there, about 6 or 7 of the English prisoners came up to me, respect what you do, we're right behind you, no one will touch you on this wing. I thought, great, this sounds a lot more hospitable. And then about an hour later, I got warned by one of the insiders, you know, one of the prisoners who help other prisoners and they get more privileges. And one of them came to me and said, listen, I've just come from upstairs and there's 5 or 6 Muslim prisoners serving life sentences.
And they're going to kill you.
And they're going for you. They're already plotting up there. And luckily, I was with one of the screws, prison officers, at that time. So he said, right, let me go and deal with this, Mr. Golding. Let me put you back in your cell. And he locked the cell during association. And he locked the cell, and I was in there for the next 3 hours. And everyone was locked down on the wing. And then after that, I was taken down the block.
See, the thing gets me is that they're fully aware. I've landed at jail.
He's just Paul from the block.
You know what's going to happen. I know what's going to happen. Walked you out. So they shouldn't even put you in that situation. You should have landed, which is, I mean, my last prison sentence, they done it right in Belmarsh Prison. Their job is as a duty of care. They have a duty of care over you tomorrow when you land in prison.
Yeah.
You shouldn't be in a position where 3 Muslims are running in your cell, because they would not put a Muslim on a jail with white supremacists or extremists.
Well, there's no really any other option unless he accepts the protection that he knocked back. You shouldn't... What else is he meant to be doing in jail? Put him in solitary confinement. Oh, I'm in solitary confinement. Put him in general population. Oh, I'm getting beat up, if you will, because I'm a prick. Do you want protection? No, I'm not a paedophile. What the fuck do you want the fucking prison service to do with these dickheads?
Groups,
no, of course not.
And they're putting you in a vulnerable situation with Muslim prisoners.
In my opinion, if you would have been with me at the time, and I warned the supervising officer of the entire block, I said, see those Muslims that are on my wing?
They're going to do it.
I was on the induction wing as well for the first week, so it was very quiet.
Yeah, because it's all new people, so all they haven't found their feet yet.
There's like 8 prisoners, and they put 2 bearded Muslims on the same wing as me. Yeah. And all I'm seeing all the time is them looking at my cell. They're staring me out, all this. I said to the supervising officer, they're plotting and planning something. Boom, next day, they're in my cell. I warned the authorities that something was going to happen, and it did. And it took me being attacked. And the reason I didn't fight back, as well as I should have done, is because when they came in the cell, they were holding something like that. And you know yourself, prisons are full of bladed objects.
The whole place.
Toothbrushes.
You're lucky to be honest.
Yeah.
No, because I said, when I went into Bedford, the same situation, which is, you can't wait for it to happen. I said, we're sitting in your cell and the door opens. Every time my door opens, I was out the door. Yeah. Straight away, because I thought, I'm not getting locked in this cell with 4 or 5 men doing me, because you won't come out of it.
Well, that's exactly what happened. I was watching, to my right, I was at my bed, and to my right, I was watching TV.
If they got the birds in the background to signify the fact that they're both a pair of jailbirds.
And I heard the door on my left, bang,
lucky,
just bang, and I turned round, there's 2 Muslims there, one is holding something like that, and the other one, as I'm just getting up off the bed, the other one's just, boom, straight on the nose, and going from just a relaxed state of watching TV to being involved in extreme violence. It's really disconcerting.
Yeah, you can't relax. You shouldn't relax, man. Sitting on your bed watching TV, you need to be ready every second.
I know, yeah.
Every second. But let's just, so this is what you face. You're going to face this, yeah? let's get to why you face this. So you could be going to jail tomorrow. For what? What's your crime? What have you done?
Schedule 7, Terrorism Act 2000, basically gives the police extra powers in ports of entry in the United Kingdom, ferry ports, airports, etc. And as you know, I went to Moscow in Russia at the invite of the second largest party in Russia. They invited me out there to give a speech in the Russian parliament, which I did. Then the second occasion they took me to their headquarters. I was on the Russian equivalent of Newsnight, Russia 24. It was one of their biggest channels. I think the interview was seen by 50 million Russians. And, you know, it's just purely political activities. I went to the Duma, their party.
Well, some would say that when you went over to Russia, you were facilitating relationships to allow yous free reign and make sure yous don't get kicked off Russians' Facebook, which I think you did accept or say that you kind of, when you were over there, you were facilitating. Am I tripping? But you said that our friends over in Russia. But anyway, so if you're sitting over here in the UK and there's people far right, I know they don't like that word, but they are. They're all associated with Jim Dowson, who's a militant Christian. Guns, bombs and bullets and pickaxes and fucking Warhammer kind of dude. And you see them going over and speaking with elements within a foreign government to allow the far right to have ways and means of operating within the UK that could remain, probably are undetectable by the British state. And by that I mean Telegram. Is it Telegraph or Telegram that they are all using now? And VD, the Russian VD. I think it's VK, but I'm pretty sure it's VD because they're all catching it. And I can see why. I'm not saying it's right or wrong whether this guy's getting prosecuted or not. Time will tell whether he gets. I think he'll get let off with it, to be quite honest. It's just the intelligence services poking him with a stick and trying to shake a tree and see what falls off. They wanted to see what was on his phone. He said himself. Anyway, so to sit there all innocent, like I was just over there on political business. You're collaborating with a foreign government to secure the ways and means to communicate within the UK to facilitate a political takeover. So you're operating out with the political norms here in the UK. You don't see the Conservatives, Labour, even UKIP going and asking the Russians here, can we use your secret and communication devices with impunity, please?
On both occasions, and some of the evidence on my trial tomorrow is going to be, here's what he did in Russia. Nothing to do with criminality, nothing to do with terrorism or anything relating to it. And it's funny, when I came back from Moscow to
it's funny because some would say that you've got links to what some would say is be definite paramilitary elements over in Northern Ireland. So to act there and sit there, which is, I think they're classed as a terrorist, or could be classed as terrorist organisations. So, I don't know why you're so surprised, Paul.
We was completely blissfully unaware that this legislation even existed, or that anything of its kind.
Did you see what happened with Lauren Southern? You remember that? So Lauren Southern landed as a journalist into the UK, a Canadian journalist. She was held under Section 7 of the Terrorism Act. Yeah. Held, it's an abuse of power, an abuse of law. But there was actually a recording from the police officer saying, we know she's nothing to do with terrorism. Yeah. Yet they held her under the Terrorism Act. Yeah. So you're in court under Terrorism Act. You land at the UK airport. Yeah. Just you?
No, me and two others. There was Ashley Simon, our chief of staff, and Timothy Burton, who's our chairman, Britain First. We literally just came off the plane. We're walking through the terminal, and at least 15 SO-15 counter-terrorism command officers just appear from nowhere. And they quickly separated us, marched us off in different directions. But I'm obviously standing my ground. I say, listen, I'm not going anywhere with you unless you arrest me. And they're kind of just pushing me and pulling me and directing me. And in the end, they said, look, we're going to have to arrest.
Somebody's saying he's been charged. Let's see. "34 minutes ago." Let's look at the Express and Starry. Sign my life away. Paul Golden refused to give police access to his mobile phone on his return from a political trip to Russia. Leader of the far right. Hold on, I need to hide my potato. The leader of the far right political group Britain First has been found guilty of an offence under the Terrorism Act after refusing to give police access to his mobile phone on return from a political trip to Russia. Paul Golden, 38, was stopped. Was stopped at Heathrow Airport on October 23 last year on his way back from Moscow by officers from the Met. He refused to give the PIN codes for an iPhone and Apple computer and was later charged with willfully refusing to comply with the duty under Section 7 of the Terrorism Act. Golding denied the charge but was found guilty of the offence following a trial. What's going to happen to him? Chief Magistrate Emma Aberton ruled there was no doubt that Golden had failed to comply with the request for information, despite his obligations being explained to him and being warned over and over that if he did not, he'd risk arrest. That is kind of scary though, the way. Fucking hell, aye. It's no nice the way they can do it. Handed Golding a conditional discharge for 9 months and ordered him to pay 21 sub-charge and 750 costs. So, suspended sentence, does that translate as? So he's not in jail. Let me have a wee look at some of my YouTubes. See if anybody's live streaming. Somebody's got to be live streaming from there, eh? No, where's all the little entourage? The cops must have cleared them all out. Must have been getting lifted. I even thought Ripley was there, but can't see any live streams. But there we go, wee bit of a update. Been charged, released, fined.
You if you don't play ball, and we've got the powers to. I said, for what? For what? They said, come in the room, and this is part of what I'm saying tomorrow. I was tricked into that room. They got me into an interrogation room. They went through all my belongings. They took photos. They took all the cards, bank cards, people's business cards out of my wallet, photocopied them. They literally went through everything, and then they started questioning me. And considering this is anti-terrorism legislation, you would have thought, have you been involved in terrorism financing, anything at all like that? No. The questions were, why did you go to Russia?
Aye, but why?
Spoke in the Russian parliament, blah.
Do we have a ban
Why you're colluding with foreign political powers?
on travelling to Russia?
No, there's no ban. There's no, and people do it. Thousands and thousands of people come back and forth every day. So I told them it was
not ones that have been speaking to members of the Russian parliament about coincidentally allowing these kind of free range all over the Russian social media. You know? So it's almost as if you have been conducting, I don't know, would anybody argue that, let's say, you could terrorise a nation through social media? Or, like, Tommy Robinson, Paul Golden arguably have done. Gaslight a whole nation. And Tommy Robinson was kicked off all those platforms. And now he's bouncing about like the rest of them with VD. After Paul Golden went to Russia. I think Tommy was over in Russia as well, or was that Germany, or both? Tommy was over in Russia as well.
all the questions were nothing to do with criminality or terrorism. All the questions were political. Who did you meet? What's their names? What position do they hold?
I'm hoping it's them, not me.
It's legalities, am I right? You don't have a right to remain silent.
No. No, when you are detained under the Terrorism Act 2000, it's all turned upside down, so you don't have a right to stay silent. If you do stay silent, you're committing a criminal offence.
Criminal or terrorist?
The same criminal offence that I'm being done.
A terrorist offence?
A terrorist offence, yeah. That they class it. And the officers at the time, you can imagine SO15, they're very skilled at dealing with people, especially in those situations. Oh, Mr. Golding, you do realise you're going to be looking at 6 months in prison. It's actually 3 months the maximum, but they said on recording, you're looking at 6 months and a terrorism conviction if you don't give us your PIN codes. I just stood firm. I just said, look,
Why? Because there'll be people, and I've heard the counter argument. There'll be people saying, "Well, if you ain't got nothing to hide, why aren't you giving me your passcodes?" That's what I've seen. That people say, "Well, we've got nothing to hide. Why don't you let them in your phone, let them in your computer? Why wouldn't you?"
Well, it's simple. This law, Schedule 7, within the Terrorism Act 2000, while we're in the EU, and we're still subject to at the moment, the transition period, we're subject to the jurisdiction of the European Court of Justice. The European Court of Justice, the highest court in the land, has declared Schedule 7 to be illegal, to be unlawful. And because it infringes upon the right to privacy. Because they can literally go into an airport and say, look, we don't like the look of him, bang, give us all your electronic devices, PIN codes. If you don't cooperate with us, you're a terrorist. So another reason I didn't cooperate was because, as the leader of Britain First, on my hard drive and laptop and so on, I've got sensitive information. I was involved in a political party back in 2009 when their membership list was leaked to the public, and I remember the pain and suffering that caused to that political party and to hundreds of families who are members. So I've got a duty of care to make sure that our membership list, our email list, all of our confidential data, all of the contact details for all of our supporters is kept secure.
Which I remember the English Defence League list was leaked in the early days. I had teachers crying on the phone to me, school teacher, crying because he was going to lose his job. Yeah. So what you're saying is you need to protect people's livelihoods.
Yeah, absolutely. I've got to protect.
And they should be free to support you without fear.
Yeah, of course.
Unfortunately, you're not in Britain. But why wouldn't you trust? Stupid question. This is, I can't believe I'm about to ask it. But why wouldn't you trust the people to not leak people if you give them access to your computer? Do you trust that your membership list wouldn't have ended up on the front page of The Guardian?
No, definitely not. And I believe this is the whole point of the exercise.
Well, it is.
Because it was a raiding operation. It was a fishing expedition. It was a win-win situation for them, because if I cooperated and gave them my PIN codes, they've got access to our membership list, our email list, the whole works. God knows what they could do with all that. And
it's sad to say, but we know that they target people.
Of course they do.
We know that if you've got
hostile,
people on there, if
they
find out who might have donated £50 to you, tick, tick, tick.
Exactly.
And people want to be able to support you without fear of that.
Yeah. So if I have to be labelled a terrorist and do 3 months in prison...
Is that why you're doing it? Because I'd say...
That's one of the main reasons, yeah. There's a principled reason, is that I'm not under suspicion of being a terrorist in any way, shape or form. So,
see, I don't know, man. I think I might be in the same page as them. I'm kind of for the open and free travel of human beings between countries. What could we call it? Let's say open borders? You know, it's funny when little things like this happen, how the tables turn on these folk, and the irony isn't lost on me. It was the German Petiga guy, or the Austrian Petiga guy, tried to get into the UK and get knocked back. And all of a sudden, these people were shouting, "What a disgrace! The borders are getting policed!" Hold on, I thought you were for more, like, kind of border control. Oh, right, you just want it policed for brown people. And he can't be a terrorist. He's white. All right.
On principle, I'm going to tell them to take a run off the nearest bridge.
So to the people, to say to people, someone watching this that hates your political beliefs.
Right, halfway through, for people that have recently joined, I want to show Tommy Robinson was in the BNP from 2004 to 2005. There's a picture of him there. Not only was in the BNP, if you look there, it's back in his football hooligan days where him and his, like, the two people standing security, one of the people talking in the middle. So you could argue he was like a young bit of muscle back in that photograph. Paul Golden, the guy we're talking to right now. This guy, he's an ex-BNP and friend of Nick Griffin, and he hooked up with Jim Dawson to participate in the 2012 City Hall flag protests over there. And this was the kind of ball this was the incident that got the ball rolling, which pretty much led to the freeze of what some would call democracy over in Northern Ireland. There's Paul Golden in his National Front days with underpants on his head. There's Paul Golden back in 2000 when he was over in France, meeting with Jean-Marie Le Pen, and I believe that's Marie Le Pen's dad, but same organisation, same family. One's the father, one's the daughter. I'm not sure what is what. Jim Dawson as well. He was part of the Knights Templar from before 2007 at least, up till 2010. And Nick Griffin was the chairperson leader from 1999 to 2014. Paul Golden worked with Jim Dawson over in Belfast with the City Hall protests. Jim Dawson works with Nick Griffin right now in the Knights Templar International. Paul Golden is sitting having an interview with Tommy Robinson right now, and Tommy Robinson was part of the BNP when all the other three characters were all part of the same organisation. Now, as I repeated before, Jim Dawson is a marketing man. And let's see what he could be maybe doing here.
Fundraising call centre in Belfast. States then set up the BNP's fundraising call centre in Belfast.
You've got to remember, most political parties don't know their arse to their elbow. You bring in a professional marketing team. You know, I trained in America with the pro-lifers and all that. If you apply professional marketing techniques and fundraising to a political situation, it's a gift.
Yeah.
It's a gift.
Yeah.
And that's what we did with the BNP. Raised them £4 million, and then left them to it. So I was never in the BNP, but we did do work for them, just to make them successful enough to push everybody over to the right.
So you could stand up there in the cold light and say, I was never a member of the Britain First, but I done enough work with them, set up Paul Golden, just to move everybody over to the right. I was never a part of Tommy Robinson's little brigade, but I done enough just to move everybody over to the right. I was never a part of Nick Griffin's BNP, but I done enough. So, like, my theory about them using splinter groups to appeal to different demographics to suck them into their ideology, regardless if they like them or hate them, just to move everybody over to the right, isn't that far-fetched considering it's coming out their own mouths. I do believe. And then let's see if I can find John Tyndall's speech. This is from another Jones, another ex-BNP member.
Our activity must be geared to the winning of power. That still has to be said to some people in our movement, here in America, back in Britain and everywhere else. They are crusaders for the truth, but they don't relate it to the necessities of winning power. It cannot be said enough. Power is what must be won. First, just a little bit of power. Then more power, and finally complete power. Activity geared to anything else is a waste of time.
Now, so I'm saying the activity that I'm pointing at within Tommy Robinson is activity geared to winning power. They don't care who they use, whether it's the Jews who they hate, or the gays, lesbians who they hate, and everybody leftists who they hate, but they'll put up against the wall, as long as they move everybody over to the right to gain power, first a little, then a bit more, then absolute, and then boom, people are up the wall getting shot who voted for their own demise. And I don't think what I'm saying here is that, I know nobody else is out here saying it, so I don't believe it because fucking Ry Dawson, Alex Jones or UK Column don't say it, but it doesn't mean there isn't an echo of essence or truth of what I'm saying, or even something worth considering. But anyway, so there's my little sort of a web of deceit behind the truth industrial complex here in the UK. So let's get on. If I can find it.
Why should your court reaction tomorrow or sentence, whether you win or lose, why should it affect them? What effect could it have on them?
The main effect is that it will be the first time, I think, in British legal history where someone who is not so obviously not a terrorist or a criminal has been targeted with laws designed.
Right, so what he's saying there, this isn't the first time this has happened to anybody. People have been charged with this before, but what he's basically saying, it's the first time that somebody, a white man from Britain, who's obviously not a terrorist, has been charged.
To combat terrorists. So what that will give them, it will create a precedent, because you're talking about, this is Westminster Magistrates Court, the highest magistrates court in the land, with the Chief Magistrate of England and Wales legal system. So she will create a precedent, a legal casework that can be referenced in other prosecutions, and it can be used to prosecute other people. So say anyone at all who's connected to you, anyone at all who's connected to me.
Terrorist. You're connected to a terrorist.
If you go on holiday to Lanzarote, you'll get targeted at the airport. And it's
No, I won't. No, I won't. I'm not in any far-right organisations for over 20 years, mate. I'm not hanging around with the National... I'm not been part of the National Front, the BNP, Britain First. No hung around with people for the Russian Parliament, bunch of fucking maniacs over there. No hung around with maniacs for France. No done any of that shit. No, I've been over to the Northern Ireland, hanging around with maniacs over there. Done none of that. I can go to Lanzarote without fucking getting my shit seized. Thank you very much.
Win-win situation. If they get access to your phone, they can have a look around, they can, see if there's anything on they can use against you or anyone you're connected to. And if you refuse, you're prosecuted as a terrorist. So it's win-win for them. And this is what they're trying to establish the legal precedent in order to take this type of action against everyone and anyone who's a patriot.
Well, I'm concerned by it, because I know if this happens to you tomorrow, then it's certainly going to happen to me.
Yeah.
But wider than that, to any political dissident voice anywhere, you land at an airport, you better be ready to give up your phones, your passwords. And why should that be a worry? You've spoke about your reasoning. Your reasoning is to protect your members or your supporters or your people who support you. To anyone else who's part of a WhatsApp group or a men's WhatsApp group, everyone has a friend who throws the beheading video in there from ISIS beheading someone. Yeah. That's actually a criminal offence. Yeah. You will actually be prosecuted for that. So if they have access and they want to find something on your 5 years of history on your mobile phone, of your WhatsApp groups or anything, they would be able to pin something to get a headline.
They will go through everything. They will go through the memory, the BIOS, get all the things that have been deleted. And they will go through everything. And to be honest, to start with, they haven't got a right to do that. Anyway, we've got a right to privacy. People confuse the EU with the European Convention on Human Rights.
Do you think people care anymore? Like, say about your civil liberties. Tomorrow, I keep saying this actually isn't about Paul Golding tomorrow. It's not about Britain First. This is about civil liberties and the right to travel across into free countries and democracies without having your privacy invaded for political gain or for intent based on...
You're right, because it's got profound implications for everyone. If I'm convicted tomorrow and sent to prison, or to be honest, scrub that, if I'm convicted, then the precedent is there. No one who is involved in patriotic activism.
That's a lie. If you listen to very closely what you said, there's been a legal precedent set before this. People have been charged under the section he's been charged under.
In any way, shape or form, is now able or is running the risk of going to an airport, even to go on holiday. You're running the risk.
If you're prosecuted tomorrow.
This is BBC's. We're running out a TV programme. This is BBC's new TV programme. Two racists in a boat. Gonna give him a bottle of wine and a block of cheese and some crackers and put them on a boat somewhere. Film them.
I'm never bringing a phone through an airport ever again.
Yeah, or a hard drive or a laptop.
You can't.
Because you're vulnerable. And this is what they're trying to create. They're putting in place the powers.
Previous sentences. Look. You must have researched this case. Each time I go to court, I think, well, let's see what happened to other people. Although that's going to be irrelevant. Yeah. Look, have you found any other cases that are relevant? Have you found any other jihadis, Muslims that have travelled through the airports, IRA, that have had this same legislation used against them?
Hold on. That's strange, because you were talking about this being a first in a lifetime case, the first time this has ever happened, a legal precedent getting set. Precedent, I think you had pronounce it. But now they're talking about, have you seen cases like any brown or black people or Irish for that matter?
Yes.
Yes, there has been some stinky foreigners. Hold on, I'm very confused. So this isn't the first time somebody's been prosecuted under this legislation.
This same judge that's going to be overseeing the trial tomorrow, she's the Chief Magistrate of England and Wales. She's the highest magistrate in the whole country.
Is that a fluke, do you think?
I think it's just because it's such a controversial case, it's been kicked up to her. Okay. And Last year, the director of Cage, and Cage is a Muslim advocacy group, and
an extremist group.
An extremist group.
Labelled not extremist by us, but I remember many politicians.
Precedent, aye. A lot of people say president, but it's precedent.
And they campaign on behalf of Islamist terrorists. So if you're an Islamist terrorist and you're put in a prevent program, they will help you, even though you're mad as a hatter and up to your neck in terrorist activity. They will support you.
Am I right? They said that not the Beatles. Jihadi John was a great guy.
Yeah, exactly.
Jihadi John's a great guy.
If you're involved in international terrorism, you go to Guantanamo Bay and you're released. They will support you. They are there. Cage, this organisation, Cage.
Mohammed Akanji, the one that's prosecuting me, the lawyer that's been trying to harass me, he's a spokesman for them, I think.
Exactly. So you're talking about a gang of radical Islamist extremists who help other Islamic terrorists.
Okay.
Right? And they campaign specifically against Schedule 7, which is what I'm being prosecuted for.
And what's happened in the past with them?
Now, the director of Cage went to a foreign...
This blows my mind. So they've sat for about 10 minutes talking about how this has never happened before, and oh my God, if this happens, your civil liberties are up for ruin. So has this ever happened before? Aye, it's happened before. This guy that we know the whole background... what kind of universe do people not hear that? How ball deep in the Tommy Robinson, Paul Golden cult have you got to be to not hear what they've just said there? 10 minutes talking about how this has never happened before. It's a legal precedent. And now they're going, has this ever happened before? Well, yes, actually. Here's a brown man from we support brownmen.com. Fucking unbelievable.
Foreign country, I can't remember which one it was, Pakistan or some place like that. When he returned, he was grabbed by SO-15 at the airports. Schedule 7, detained.
Was it an Islamist country he went to?
I think so. I'd have to check, but I think he... But
one
basically,
of those stinky ones.
He spends his time...
So he's probably out in Syria or Iraq or Afghanistan, meeting a terrorist.
Yeah. He talks to people.
Yeah, but Paul Golden was just hanging about with the creme de la creme in Russia. I mean, what's the difference? I mean, why should Paul Golden be able to go and speak to possible terrorists in London about opening up communication avenues to the far right in a foreign country? Why should he be considered a terrorist when little Abdul, who's in Syria, Pakistan, some of these Islamist countries that we all know about, why should Paul Golden be treated the same as him? Paul Golden's white, don't you know?
He's a terrorist, an Islamist, full-time, that's his job, and represents them, helps them, advocates for them, helps them with legal issues. He helps terrorists and extremists.
Okay.
He was pulled by SO-15 at the airport, and he was not cooperative at all. He actually said...
Well, Paul, you know what they say, one man's terrorist is another man's freedom fighter.
I'm not even talking to you. So I only refuse to give the PIN codes to my devices. Apart from that, you can see from the evidence that everyone will see tomorrow that my cooperation with them was very open and giving. I gave them names, I explained everything. I made the statement, I said, this is still outrageous, I'm a politician, you shouldn't be doing this to me. But I explained everything I did and give them names, give them phone numbers.
Paul, I could honestly, that picture there of you with your underpants, not your underpants, sorry, with underpants on your head, with your skinhead mate next to you, back in your National Front days, I could perfectly believe that you're a legit politician, Paul. I genuinely, really, really could.
Numbers, give them the whole bloody lot. And I also said, and you'll see it on the audio recording tomorrow, or the transcript, I actually praised the work they do in combating terrorists, because although they're persecuting people like us,
they're doing a difficult job.
They do a difficult job. They sabotage terror plot after terror plot after terror plot. That, without them, we'd already been in a civil war situation. I praised the work most of the time that they do, and this is all on recording. So I'm going in there. Could be.
Oh, right, so they just picked on the wrong colour of terrorist, Paul, right? It's a bit like when they stopped those Padiga people coming in, right? Again, it's like open borders for them, but everybody else, it's brown or black, shut them down. It's surely to God, they're under the table bigotry and racism's got to be out there for everybody to see. regardless of what bullshit drivel comes out their mouths as they play politician and journalist.
Be the case.
So you're supportive of the work they do, supportive of them. Complete opposite to Cage.
Complete opposite. Cage is against them. Cage is against Griffin.
What happened? What's the director of Cage's name?
His name's Rabani.
What happened with him in court? Same judge.
Same judge.
Okay.
He was less cooperative than me.
Yep.
He was given a slap on the wrist. He was given a discharge and a fine.
Okay.
That's exactly what you got. So let's review claims that this is a first in a lifetime ever thing, legal precedent that this has ever happened, and then went, well, I can't believe it. Like, if this happens to me, it means they're going to come after your civil liberties because this is a legal precedent they're setting, you know? It's never once happened before. Okay, Paul, that's great. We've spoke about it for 10 minutes now. Now, Paul, has this ever happened before? Oh, yes, actually, it has. And then they go down and explain what's happened to this jihadi guy, and the jihadi guy got the exact same punishment as Paul Golden. What's good for one? What's good for the potato is good for the chip. What's good for the potato is good for the bacon. What's good for the potato is good for the roasting. Paul.
And he went free. And tomorrow,
just like yourself,
we will see if I get sent to prison.
I just listened to you having a legal meeting. Do you know what? It just brought back so many memories. It must be frying your head. Whether anyone says it's not, I just know that legal stuff just like, oh, get me out of it.
Yeah.
But I just sat and listened to you having a legal meeting with your lawyers.
Bing! Now, right, come on, here's some other interesting facts. Do you know the Telegram thing that they've all set up that's run by the Russians? When they first set up their Telegram, they put a wee legal disclaimer at the very beginning. Tommy Robinson, let me get this straight. Tommy Robinson, Britain First and the Knights Templar all had the exact same verbatim legal statement on their telegrams, apart from the name of their Telegram page. Exact same. Written by the same lawyers. Here's Paul Golden and Tommy I don't know about you, I always like journalists, independent journalists like Tommy Robinson sitting in on my lawyer's meeting before a case. Come on, God, is the penny not dropping? If we've all got the same lawyers, using the same legal statements, flying to Russia, using the same VD, they've all got the VD. Didn't they all catch it by accidents? Because behind the scenes they're... The big Jada Francine.
Where they were discussing what the prosecution have advised for sentencing.
Yes.
What was their advice to the judge?
This is only this morning. We found out that the prosecution's advice in the event of me being convicted.
Well, relax, that's what you've got it wrong. Up here in Scotland, we pronounce it the exact way I said it. Unfortunately, mate, we don't have an accent. You do.
Of this is prison. And it shouldn't be suspended. You know,
they said that they don't want it to be suspended.
They don't want it to be suspended. They want me to go to prison for this. That's...
Well, the judge didn't. Was it a judge in there? The judge didn't agree, Paul. The judge agreed that the fair way of punishing you for being a potato head and wasting people's time was to treat you like that other dick.
The prosecution, the CPS, they want me to go to prison. That's their advice to the judge.
And do you think, say it's like a game of chess, if you get found guilty tomorrow and you get charged with terrorism...
But not the same bit of Scotland for me, relax. In Hostonia, we have our own certain pronunciation of things. Do
you think they're going to prescribe Britain First as a terrorist organisation?
Yes.
Do you think they'll use that?
Possibly.
Do you think they'll try and use that?
Possibly.
And because most people, they know that 90% of the British public only read the headline.
Yeah.
So most people are just going to read Paul Golding, arrested, terrorism charges, convicted.
Well, the BBC did it. When I actually...
Whereas Tommy Robinson just reads the Breitbart.
Announced to the press that I've been charged under Schedule 7, which is, it's only a magistrate's offence. You know, you're not talking about a big Crown Court
it's the headline,
trial here, but it's the headline. The BBC said Britain First leader Paul Golding charged for terror offence. Now, when you read the first paragraph, it said he refused to give his PIN codes. And if you went on to...
Most people don't know, they know that.
Of course, if you went on to The Sun, The Mirror, The Guardian, any of them, you will see... And probably 90 to 95% of people say, hold on a minute, terrorism. They got sucked in by the headline, they read it, and they thought, he just refused to give his PIN codes. Good on him.
Yeah, which is why I think it's important. That's why I want to come tomorrow as well. I think it's important that the public are aware of what's happened, Joe.
Yeah.
Especially if you go to jail.
And in my opinion, the state is manoeuvring to create a legal precedent.
For everyone. That's
for
what
everyone,
I mean.
yeah. And I think they've done the same thing with you outside
See,
the
he's
courtroom.
not pronouncing it
So
right.
now, if anyone who isn't a certified press goes near a courtroom with a phone,
Do you know the recording I've got?
they're the same position that you was
I've
in.
got the recording yesterday from Wayne. I spoke to the Met liaison officer. He said, "Have you got a certification that you're a journalist?" This isn't like being a solicitor, mate. Like solicitors, yes, you have to be legally qualified to be a solicitor. There's no doubt I'm a journalist. I report the news. Just Google the word journalist.
Okay, Tommy, I take that challenge up. Let's Google the word journalist. I've commonly said this. Like, Google the word journalist, and you'll find that these people are nowhere near any way, shape, or form. Any way, shape, or form, what you could even come close to be calling a journalist. So where should we go? At the Wikipedia. Is that the standard? Let's go to the Wikipedia. As a person, okay, I think Tommy Robinson ticks that box. Who collects, writes, or distributes news. But, well, he doesn't collect, he doesn't write, and he doesn't distribute news. Right? News. News is information about current events. He doesn't distribute information about current events. He scrolls through the real news and looks for people whose names are Muhammad that have done bad things. Then he makes YouTube clips about that, or whatever social media. He makes VD, gives everybody VD over that. This may be provided through many different media: word of mouth, printing, postal systems, broadcasting. Although the terminology of the testimony of observers and witnesses to events, or through the testimony of observers and witnesses to events. So, I don't know, you're falling down there, mate, because I wouldn't say that you're reporting news. News would be all in any current events. It wouldn't be specific to brown men crimes. Which, if I still got this, I started a folder. What was it called? Is it still there? Where's Tommy? Like years ago. And every week through the news I would come across rape and stories of paedophilia by different denominations of people other than Muslims. And for some weird reason, these stories were around as much as the other ones Tommy Robinson was reporting on, but you would never go near them. Never go near them. So this is the reason I don't think Tommy Robinson's a journalist. Or other current information to the public. A journalist's work is called journalism. Okay, let's see what journalism is. Journalism is the production and distribution of reports on current or past events. The word journalism applies to the occupation as well as citizen journalists who gather and publish information. Journalistic media includes print, television, radio and internet, and in the past newsreels. Concepts of the appropriate role for journalism vary between countries. In some nations, the news media are controlled by government intervention and are not fully independent. In others, the news media are independent of the government but instead operate as a private industry motivated by profit. In addition to the varying nature of how media organisations are run and funded, countries may have different implementations of laws handling the freedom of speech and libel cases. Right, so he calls himself a journalist. He distributes something, but the argument, the semantic, is whether it's news. I would argue it's nowhere near news. It's hand-picked, cherry-picked news stories to paint a false narrative, to get everybody riled up about one particular thing or another. And I think it's very clearly demonstrated. In fact, hashtag Where's Tommy? I spent ages demonstrating it with the amount of rapes, paedophilia, all sorts coming from all angles, all over the world, but never reported on by Tommy because they didn't include the brown man.
What they do, they report the news to the public. They only want certified, when they say certified, people working for the state, people working for certain...
For the mass media,
for the mass media, for the establishment. And I think my case, you're right, was about scaring people into
and
not...
creating a precedent.
Against citizen journalism.
Because if that happens to you again, or someone else again... Case law, previous decisions by judges, they count for a lot.
I know.
When it comes in before a court again. Judges generally follow previous judgments.
Will you?
That's why you get charged with the exact same... that's why you get punished with the exact same sentence as the Allah Akbar not bar that you were talking about beforehand, which never happened, but it did.
So when someone else is done for what you did, which was bugger all, really. I've done that before. But when someone else has done that, they will reference the prosecution. Tommy Robinson was prosecuted for this, and he went to prison.
For not saying anything.
And the judge will just duplicate that for some other poor bugger.
Will you, if you're convicted tomorrow, if you're convicted, you're going to go to jail.
Yeah.
Will you appeal this?
It all depends on the circumstances. Because the thing is, I might be out because this is a magistrate's court at the end of the day. The maximum I can get is 3 months. I'll do half inside, which is 6 weeks. Maybe 2 months because there's new legislation they've brought
terrorist. You'll be a terrorist.
Yeah.
You'll have to do 2/3.
I'll have to do 2/3. So I might end up doing 2 months of a 3-month sentence. So that's the
because you're a terrorist for not giving them your code.
Not giving them my PIN codes.
Yeah.
But they've already confirmed in the evidence. You'll see it tomorrow. There's no suspicion of terrorism or criminality at all.
Have you had any civil rights groups? Or say, for example, if you're a Muslim terrorist...
Even my dumbass can see where the terrorism concerns come from. Far-right morons in the UK send delegates and members of their little cabal over to Russia to facilitate the opening up of Russian VD to all the far-right morons in the UK.
Muslim.
And it's happened. And now Tommy Robinson's back live with his spreading his VD everywhere.
Jihadi, you land at the airport back from a war zone. You will have all of these people flying to help you, like Cage, like all these politicians, all these groups who want to defend civil liberties. Has anyone contacted you to support you?
No, absolutely not.
Not a single person?
No. Apart of, well, you're the only person, really.
But no one's tried to voice to say, hold on a minute.
Hold on, Jim Dawson said something nice about you.
Hold on a minute.
Yeah.
Sure, Nick Griffin did as well.
We know he's... So people might not like it. People talk about me or you. They might say, oh, I think he's an idiot. Yeah. Okay, maybe I am. Maybe sometimes we are idiots.
Yeah.
But you're not a terrorist. So
no,
should we be targeted with terrorist legislation?
When you was dragged into the Old Bailey, that wasn't about you. They were trying to create a precedent for everyone.
To scare people.
This time, they're trying to create precedent for everyone by hauling me over the coals.
Like, how can this create a precedent when people have already been charged with what you're getting charged with and the exact same sentence get dished out? This is bizarro land. And see the amount of people that will walk away believing this. Oh my God, we can't let this happen to Paul Golden. If it happens to him, it will happen to us all. We've known it's happened to people before. The only difference is the colour of their skin.
So this time I'm the sacrificial lamb. Last year it was you. The year before that, I was sent down for religiously aggravated because I exposed.
I remember.
Yeah, I exposed some migrant gang rapists who raped an underage English girl. Because I exposed them, I was sent to prison. And then
you exposed yourself to them. You were sent to prison, and rightly so. Can't you be walking about exposing yourself to people?
A few years before that, you was in prison, so it's just...
Was he exposing himself too? See these BNP people, man.
They're constantly...
Sex pests a lot.
Putting all the building blocks for a police state in place. Because if I'm done for this, if you go through an airport and they grab you and you refuse...
And to people watching
then what you'll do is you'll find yourself in court and they'll say, right, Judge, there's case law that backs up the prosecution.
There was already case law that backed up the prosecution, Paul. You spoke about it at length. How is it fucking Finding Nemo in here? Are they expecting... Are fucking Tommy Robinson and Paul Golden followers all fucking Dora? Is it Dora? Who's the clownfish for Finding Nero? The one that can't remember shit. I'm sure it's a clownfish. Or is it I forget? I can't remember fish.
Golding was
can't remember.
And it didn't matter. And he was convicted and he was sent to prison. So we feel the same should happen to Tommy Robinson. And then you'll be banged up.
And they have to. And then the thing is, so say if you're one of our supporters and each year when you're talking about leaving the country, they have the event for the independence of Poland.
Yeah.
Where a lot of people now go out there. It's a massive patriotic rally.
Yeah.
Everyone's left open to this.
Yeah.
You land from Poland.
Yeah.
What are you doing? Who are you with? Give us your passcode.
Yeah.
My concern is if they get your passcodes and they find a beheading video, they run the headline that you've got terrorists.
Well, take your fucking mate. You see that folder you've got next to your fucking granny porn? Remove the beheading video, fucking moron.
Terrorist material on
Terrorist
your phone.
material.
Yeah.
That's all the headline will be.
Exactly.
Terrorist material. They won't say it's a jihadi ISIS fighter beheading an innocent person.
Yeah.
It will just be the headline.
My advice to people
What about the one you fucking the hole in the neck?
like you and anyone else who's involved in any political activism on the patriot side of the fence is, if I'm convicted tomorrow and you travel out of the country, leave your normal phone at home and just take a cheap phone that you can put your SIM into. Just take a cheap phone.
Which is
with
a
nothing on
crazy
it.
situation to be in, yeah? Why should we have to... Why? If you just go on a holiday, you should feel free to fly. I get scared every time I go to the airport. I don't know, every time I land, I've been nicked 3 times in the airport. So every time I land, when I've got nicked with my kids, my wife, my kids, all the suitcases, 5 suitcases, midnight, bomb, please.
Yeah.
I just think every time I come through, I go, oh, that. But after your case tomorrow...
Yeah. Everyone, if I get convicted tomorrow,
You better get another fake passport, Tommy.
every patriot in the country is at risk when they go into an airport. Leave your normal phone at home if I'm convicted, and just get a cheap phone you can put your SIM card in. Because then if they do pull you, you can give them access to it without any worry or any concern. It's not because we're hiding.
Oh yeah, aye. So don't carry your real shit around. It's not because we're hiding it, and just don't carry it around in case they can look into it. Carry around a fake one that they can look into, which will mean that you won't get charged, but never carry around the real stuff. You know, like our iPhones with our personal messages to Andres Breivik and all that. You know, with our Knights Templar fucking Knights round table meetings.
Things. It's because...
That's what I honestly believe.
Why should complete strangers be looking through pictures of you and your wife or you and your kids?
No.
It's an invasion of privacy.
What will be leaked and how would they manipulate things? That's for me. But all right, well, you're in court in the morning, and hopefully you'll be on.
Well, how would they manipulate things, Tommy? You've just admitted you've got beheading videos on your phone, you twat.
VK tomorrow night.
Hopefully. or in
VD.
Belmarsh.
Yeah. Oh, good luck.
All right, good luck.
Yeah, good luck.
Right. So there was Paul Golden and Tommy Robinson, who, I don't know, are they in the same team or on opposing teams? I don't quite know. The independent citizen journalists reporting the news, apparently. Same shit. So there's Tommy Robinson at the BMP meeting. He was part of the BNP 2004 to 2005. Paul Golden was part of the BNP from 2000 to 2011 when he left to set up Britain First with Jim Dawson. Golden in 2012 went over and met Jim Dawson to participate in the town hall flag protests with Jim Dawson. This was in 2012. This was at the same time, just after they'd both started Britain First together. There's Paul Golden back in the day when he was part of the National Front. There's Paul Golden back in 2000 when he attended the Front National Front, the French version, where he was pictured with the leader Jean-Marie Le Pen, which is Le Pen's dad, I do believe. I'm talking about going to Poland there with our wee nationalist cabals. Then we've got Nick Griffin, who was leader of the BNP from 1999 to 2014. There's a picture of Tommy Robinson. Tommy Robinson's on the left. Look at where him and his mate are situated. They're the security either side of the talking table. and that was back in his football hooligan days when he was getting football bans and stuff, you know, bit of muscle. Jim Dawson, he was in the BNP for pre-2007, can't get exact date, but from 2007 up to 2010, where he left and then set up with Paul Golden, Britain First, in 2011. Nick Griffin. Here's Jim Dawson.
He cut his marketing teeth working for the militant pro-life movement in the States, then set up the BNP's fundraising call centre in Belfast.
You've got to remember, most political parties don't know their arse to their elbow. You bring in a professional marketing team. You know, I trained in America with the pro-lifers and all that. If you apply professional marketing techniques and fundraising to a political situation, it's a gift.
Yeah.
So imagine he's doing that via the media, social media, by creating groups like Britain First, the Tommy Robinson movement, it was Make Britain Great Again, all these splinter groups, groups like the British Constitution group, groups like the UK Column, all the independent journalistic gremlins that creates, all to push, all to do what, Jim?
It's a gift.
Yeah.
And that's what we did with the BNP. Raised them £4 million, and then left them to it. So I was never in the BNP, but we did do work for them.
So what, he might not have been in Britain First, but he did do work for them, raise lots of money, and then let them do what they had to do. He might not have done work with the BNP or with Tommy Robinson, but he did set them up, send them on their way, and let them do what they wanted to do. And for what reason?
Just to make them successful enough to push everybody over to the right.
So let's get this right. A guy that's in marketing, his particular skills and demographics, is talking about working with the BNP, not because he supported them, just to move everybody over to the right. He worked with Paul Golden. Why? Not maybe to support him or be part of that group, but to move over everybody to the right. I'm saying he's doing the same with Tommy Robinson through his connections through the BNP. Why? He just move everybody over to the right. This guy is an expert in demographics, so he wants every gay, lesbian, Jew, Hitler, so on and so forth. Everybody for every gay, straight, lesbian, every sexual demographic, every Jew-loving, Jew-hating, Christian-loving, whatever, all to move over to the right, just so the whole pendulum swings over to the right.
And I think that has resulted now in the success that UKIP is enjoying. And far better UKIP enjoying it than the BNP, to be honest with you. But at least everybody's over to the right, a couple of notches.
Now he's bankrolling Britain First.
So there's kind of my argument, using words from their own people's mouth. They're past known associations, all part of the BNP at the same time. They're associations after they're known associations in and outside the BNP. Paul Golden, the politician, getting interviewed with Tommy Robinson, the independent citizen journalist, before, poor me getting tried as a terrorist. Oh, come on, fuck, man. And let's have a wee look at another old school BNP guy,
Our activity must be geared to the winning of power. That still has to be said to some people in our movement, here in America, back in Britain and everywhere else. They are crusaders for the truth, but they don't relate it to the necessities of winning power. It cannot be said enough. Power is what must be won. First, just a little bit of power, then more power, and finally complete power.
So let's say Tommy Robinson doesn't really love all the LGBT, Jew-loving people. He's just doing that because that's his activities geared towards winning power. Let's say all the other talking heads don't even like the demographic that they're set up to appeal to. They're just there to play lip service to them, say what's popular, what's fascist. Say what's populism, say what's in fashion, what's fashionable, fascism, to get people riled up. Why? Just to gain power. First a little bit of power, then complete power. And then when they do get complete power, they'll put all the gays, lesbians, Jews up against a wall and kill them all. That's what I genuinely believe. I know it's my crazy conspiracy, but hey ho, Tommy Robinson's a real boy, don't you know? He's so real that he hasn't got about Tommy 10 names. Anyway, that's me over and out for just now. Just wanted to do a wee short and sweet doohickey on that. Thumbs it up. I'll say hi to those in the chat if anybody wants to say anything in the chat bar. And now, remember the time a delay. So, Covert, Relax, Bright, Crossman in the evening, gents. The Lazy Jesus, how he's doing in the eve. Bright, Crossman, Jesus, Relax, Miss Bunk. Cha, Voodoo Media in the evening, guys and girls. Blazing, how you doing? The Highlander, how you doing? Carletta. In the afternoon, one and all. Odin, Miss Spice. In the evening, in the afternoon, evening. In the afternoon, evening? In the afternoon, even. It'll be evening soon. Oh, hold on, what happened there? That didn't work. Thanks, Jesus. Tune in Friday for See Through the Fear Porn Friday if anybody wants to join. Relax. And real hope. He is going to. Pie's ego is too fragile to apologise to Crossman. Right, anyway, guys and girls, I'm out. I want to go and get. I'm on Sean and whatnot. So have a good one. Tune in on Friday for See Through the Fear Porn Friday. Thumbs it up, share it, friends, family, foe. Remember, it's a digital busking show. It is all available and accessible free of charge. Going to do such a good job, you'll find value in what I do. Use your spare change, not your life savings, in the PayPal button down below. Mega, mega, mega. Thanks to those who do. Alrighty, boob tubes. Have a good one. I will catch yous all later. Clips. Remember, citizen, to stay well, hit subscribe and the bell. Catches.